persistent, cunning, and power-hungry. She was nothing like a timid doe. Such traits were not favored in the 14th century. To make matters worse, she had a limp, with one leg shorter than the other. The people dubbed Jean of Burgundy the queen of the masculine gender, for within the royal family, she was both the head and the neck. It's hard to win the love of the people when your family is embroiled in scandal. Jean's sister, the wife of the heir to the French throne, was caught in adultery and imprisoned. Rude street boys sang lewd songs, while Princess Jean, recently married to Charles Valois, pressed her lips together in frustration. She sensed that good fortune was not on the horizon. Her brother's marriage to the heiress of Constantinople was annulled, and Jean was not well liked at court. The title of Countess of Maine, awarded to Jean and her husband Philippe Valois in the early 14th century, was a far cry from royal status. However, a few years later, a cousin of three kings unexpectedly inherited the French throne, and the lame one was crowned. After so many beautiful queens, graceful Clemence, proud Jean, daughter of the Count of Artois, and gentle Marie of Luxembourg, the highest honors went to the unattractive sister of the unfaithful Marguerite. The courtiers were slow to realize who truly called the shots in the royal family. Gradually, rumors began to circulate about how Jean seized the state seal to condemn nobles who displeased her and made unilateral decisions regarding appointments. Philippe VI even made her regent during his absence. What could he do? France was entering the 100 Years' War, as it would later be named. Her lame leg was a constant source of gossip. In the Middle Ages, there was often a connection made between one's appearance and inner character. If a queen was strikingly unattractive, how could she be kind? Naturally, Jean was accused of wrongdoing, with whispers that she followed in her sister's footsteps and also entertained suitors in the Nelly Tower. How foolish! They had no idea that the queen's one true love was power over the kingdom. But the king was so frightened by the gossip that he sent his wife far from Paris to Burgundy. Yet he soon had to bring her back, for he could trust no one else to govern the realm. Even less could be forgiven for Jean's ability to rule. She knew how to find funds for warfare and manage taxation effectively. Her husband, the king, appeared rather unimpressive beside her. The lady referred to as the masculine queen, or queen of the masculine gender, became a common designation for Jean of Burgundy. Historian Robert Connect writes in his book on the Valois dynasty, "She was both king and queen, threatening destruction to those who opposed her will." Jean was also a patron of the arts. She collected books, educated her son John, and ordered the translation of important legal treatises from Latin into French so that everyone could access them. She was an intelligent and well-educated woman, but all anyone seemed to notice was her limp. It was unjust, yet true. Even the famous writer Maurice Drouin treated Jean harshly. Chronicler Pierre Cauchon, who never had the chance to see Jean of Burgundy in person, having been born 40 years after her death, was not particularly kind either. The queen despised commoners and said that any of them should have only 5 sous and a donkey, and their clothing should be made of coarse fabric. She was the most wicked of all who walked this earth. It makes one wonder who planted that idea in Cauchon's mind. Jean the Lame bore 9 children for the French king. Her life and reign coincided with difficult times for the kingdom. The war dragged on, important cities were lost, and plague swept through France. In fact, this very disease marked the end of Jean of Burgundy's life. She died in the middle of the 14th century. In the Basilica of Saint Denis, she rested until the late 18th century when a militant crowd of revolutionaries desecrated the royal tombs. At that time, there was no distinction made between just rulers and unjust ones. However, with Jean of Burgundy, it's truly complex to discern. Her image is too contradictory. She is either the cruel hunchback or the most intelligent woman of her time.